girl of ancient civilization. Book 1 of the Ëlanari Tales. Brought to you by Ashenheart. Chapter 10. Into the Dark. They left the fort at midnight. Kael went first, through the gap in the south wall, moving low and slow over the rubble. His leg protested every step. The thigh wound had tightened during the hours of waiting until each movement felt like tearing cloth. Lira came behind him, silent. She tied her cloak tight and pulled the hood up. In the dark, she was a shape navigating the rubble. Frost on the stones, mist in the hollows between trees. No moon. Clouds had rolled in during the evening, thick and low. Kael stopped at the tree line and listened. The air told him the perimeter was clear. The enemy had pulled back to their camp after taking Asha. The only concentration of presence was northeast, half a mile away, where the trees thinned and a glow hung in the dark like a bruise. Their camp, fire glow through the canopy. He prepared. Charcoal out. Less than half a stick now, the end worn to a blunt nub. He knelt and drew edge binding along his sword by feel. 3 lines, an arc, a seal. The rune took with a faint hum. Ward's skin on his left forearm. 3 strokes, a curve, a closing mark. The inscription set with a tingling warmth. 1 hit. Maybe. He checked the flare stones. 2. He put them back. He drew trace step runes on the ground at 3 points along their back trail. Ready? He asked.
Yes.
He looked at her. In the dark, he couldn't see her face, just the shape of her, the faint pale suggestion of skin above the cloak's edge. They moved. Kael navigated by air. He felt the camp before he could see it. Warm bodies displacing the air, updraft from multiple fires, and he followed. They moved through birch and undergrowth, slowly, each step placed, tested, committed. Lira matched his pace.
Lira?
He said, barely a whisper.
Yes.
The woman I lost.
She was quiet.
You asked about her at the fort, and before.
I did.
He kept walking.
She was the only person who made the world feel like it fit. Like the edges of things matched. The way a key fits a lock. Everything I was and everything she was and the space between us, it fit.
He didn't look at her.
And then she left. No letter. I came back from a job and the room was empty and the bed was cold and there was nothing. No trail. Like she'd been edited out of the world.
The forest breathed around them. Wind in the high branches. The distant sound of water.
Do you hate her?
Lira asked. Quiet. Precise.
No.
Are you angry?
Sometimes.
What are you mostly?
He thought about it. The room. The 2 cups. The door.
Waiting.
He said.
Mostly I'm waiting.
For her to come back?
For the world to fit again.
20 steps. 30. The camp glow was brighter, firelight through gaps in the canopy.
Maybe she left because it didn't fit for her.
Lira said. He stopped walking.
Maybe,
he said. They kept walking. They reached the camp perimeter. It was larger than Kael had expected. A clearing in the birch maybe 60 yards across with 3 fire pits arranged in a triangle. 8 or 9 canvas tents around the fires, a horse line at the north edge where half a dozen horses stood in the cold, supply crates stacked near the largest tent. Kael crouched behind a fallen birch at the clearing's edge and counted. 12 fighters visible, 3 at the fires, 2 walking the perimeter, 3 near the horse line, 4 in or near tents, maybe more sleeping. 12. Against 1 wounded man and a 10-year-old girl. He found Asha. She was tied to a post near the second fire pit on the far side of the camp, rope around her wrists, arms behind her back, head down. She wore the same clothes she'd fled in, wool shirt, leather vest. Her short hair hung over her face. The ropes were slack, slack enough that she could shift, adjust, move. The knots were real. She's a girl tied to a post and you sheltered her, and she's there because you couldn't keep her safe.
I see her.
Lira whispered beside him.
Far side. Near the second fire.
I see the guards too.
How many?
2 walking, 1 at each fire. The rest are in the tents or at the horses.
He looked at her.
We go together.
Kael said.
Stay behind me. If something goes wrong, you run east. We discussed this.
We discussed it. I disagreed.
Lira.
I'm not leaving without you, so you'd better not die.
He looked at the camp. 12 fighters, 3 wounds, 2 flare stones, a sword with a weak edge binding, and a leg that could walk but not run.
Wait here,
he said.
No.
He looked at her. She looked back. In the dark, her eyes were black, all pupil, no color. He nodded. They went in together. Chapter 11. The camp. Every instinct said fast, get in, cut the ropes, get out. But fast meant noise, and noise meant 12 armed fighters between them and death. Kael led. He moved along the tree line first, circling south, putting the horse line and the largest tent between them and the nearest guard. The perimeter patrol was 2 men walking opposite arcs, clockwise and counterclockwise, meeting at the north and south points every 4 minutes. He waited for the south side guard to pass. The man walked by 20 feet from their position, close enough to hear a cough or a misplaced boot. Kael pressed himself against the birch and held his breath. The air around them went still. Still. The ambient sound of the forest, the wind, the small restless noises of night, continued. The air immediately around them did not. Kael was focused on the guard's boots. The guard passed. His footsteps faded north. They moved. Into the camp, between tents, the canvas walls on either side, close enough to touch, the sound of sleeping men filtering through the fabric, snores, the low murmur of someone talking in their dreams. 3 fires created overlapping circles of orange light. Moving between them meant crossing lit ground, brief exposures, seconds at most. Kael timed the first crossing to the guard rotation. When the walking patrol was at the north point, he moved, out of shadow, across 8 feet of fire-lit ground, into the shadow of the supply crates. Lira followed, a dark shape, fast and low, her cloak billowing once and then settling. No alarm. The man at the nearest fire was staring into the flames, fire-blind to anything past them. Second crossing. Longer. 12 feet of open ground between the supply crates and the second fire pit. The guard at this fire was awake, sitting on a stool with a mug in his hand facing the horse line, bored. 1 turn of his head and he'd see them. Kael felt the air, the guard's breathing, steady, slow, the steam from his mug, rising and curling, warm air rising off the fire, cold pulling in from the sides. He moved on the inhale. When the fire cracked and the guard lifted his mug, Kael crossed. Lira was a step behind, her hand brushing his cloak. They reached the far side, shadow again. The post where Asha was tied was 10 feet away. She was slumped against the post, head down, short hair hanging forward. In the firelight, the bruise on her cheekbone was dark and livid. Her arms were behind the post, wrists bound. Her breathing was shallow. Kael crouched 3 feet away and studied the ropes. Good hemp. The knots were standard military restraint. Her fingers had color. The ropes were loose, more than they needed to be. The window was 4 minutes. Asha, he whispered. Her head came up, eyes wide, disoriented, then focused.
Kael,
Her voice cracked.
how you came for me.
Stay quiet. I'm cutting you loose.
He drew his knife, the short blade on his belt, the one he used for cutting rope and shaving charcoal. He reached behind the post and found the ropes, 3 strands. He sawed through the first. Lira hung back, 5 feet away, crouched in the shadow of a tent, eyes on Asha. Second strand cut. The rope loosened. Asha pulled her arms forward, wincing, rubbing her wrists. She turned to Kael and grabbed him, arms around his neck, her face against his shoulder, a sob that she swallowed before it could become sound. He held her, briefly, awkwardly, one hand still gripping the knife. She was shaking.
We need to go.
He said.
Now. Can you run?
Yes.
She pulled back. Her eyes were wet.
Yes, I can run.
Her right hand moved toward his belt, where the knife had been. She was fast. The motion was fluid, practiced. Her hand found the knife handle, still warm from his grip, and pulled it free. She drove it into his stomach. Chapter 12. The Blade. Kael looked down. His own knife and belt, the handle protruding from his stomach, still warm from his hand, buried to the hilt. Just below his navel and to the left. No pain yet. He stared at the knife. That shouldn't be there. He looked up. Asha's face had changed. The fear, the vulnerability, the wide-eyed, shaking, honest-faced girl who'd stumbled into Fort Halloran 3 days ago, gone. Her eyes were steady, her mouth was set, her hands were still, the same hands that had trembled over his wounds, that had produced bread and cheese from a vest pocket.
I'm sorry.
She said.
I'm sorry.
She said again. Then she stepped back. 1 step, 2, 3, away from him, into the firelight, among the soldiers who were appearing from tents and shadows, armed, awake, unsurprised. Kael fell to one knee. The pain arrived in waves, heat first, a spreading warmth radiating from the wound through his abdomen into his back, then pressure, the feeling of something open that should be closed, then the understanding that he was bleeding from the inside. Blood, between his fingers, down his hands, soaking into his belt and his trousers and the ground beneath his knee, dark red, thick, slow. He pressed his hand against the wound. The knife was still in him. Pulling it out would make the bleeding worse. Lira was at his side. One moment she was in the shadow of the tent, 5 feet away, watching Asha with those unreadable dark eyes. The next she was beside him, hands on his arm, voice in his ear.
Get up.
Lira.
Get up. Get up now.
He got up. He didn't know how. Every wound said no, the knife in his stomach loudest. He got up anyway, because Lira's hands were pulling at his arm and her voice was saying, get up. He stood. The world listed to the left. He corrected. Blood ran down his stomach and dripped from the hem of his shirt, a steady patter on the ground. The camp was awake, torches flaring to life, soldiers emerging from tents, swords already drawn, armor already buckled. He counted. 12, 15. More than the tree line had shown. They circled, not attacking, forming a ring around the post where Asha had been tied. Asha stood among them at the edge of the firelight, arms crossed, her face composed. She was looking at the ground where his blood was pooling. A voice came from behind the ring of torches, low, unhurried.
Took you long enough.
Kael turned, slowly. The movement sent a spike of pain through his abdomen that nearly dropped him again.
I was starting to think you didn't care about the girl.
The soldiers parted. The torchlight shifted and a man stepped through the gap. He was broad. Decades of swinging heavy steel had built the shoulders and the corded arms, square-jawed, heavy-browed, deep-set eyes the color of dark earth. A thick scar crossed the bridge of his nose, old and white, close-cropped brown hair going gray at the temples, scarred leather armor. He carried a heavy bastard sword, single-edged, plain, no inscriptions on the steel.
You must be Kael.
He said.
I've heard things.
He stopped 5 feet away. The torchlight caught the scar on his nose and the gray in his hair.
My name is Darren, and you walked right into my camp.
His smile was tired.
I trained that girl for 3 weeks to make you do exactly this. The bruises, the food in her pocket, all of it. She's good, committed.
A glance at Asha.
Though I think some of it was real. The parts about you. She wasn't supposed to let that happen.
Kael's hand was pressed to his stomach, blood between his fingers, the knife handle pressing against his palm.
Here's the other thing.
Darren said, his voice dropped.
Your own ledger sent me, Kael.
Silence.
Who do you think gave me the route? The safe house location? Your name?
Darren tilted his head.
The Iron Ledger sold you. Whoever gave you this mission sold the contract before the ink was dry. You've been running a job for people who wanted you to fail. Give me the girl.
Darren said.
You're gut-stabbed and surrounded, and the people who sent you here don't care if you come back. Be smart. Put the sword down. Walk away.
Kael stood in the torchlight, bleeding from 4 wounds. He drew his sword. The edge binding was sloppy. The blade hummed weakly. He looked at Darren, then at Lira behind him, small and pale and silent.
No.
Kael said. Darren sighed.
All right, but
He said, and raised his sword.
The child in the cell's word slipped the wall, where the night lay thick on the ruined green, and the fires of the camp through the leafless trees were the pale cold stars of the dying dream. She stumbled once on a hidden route, and he gave his hand, and she took his hand, and the walking woods grew still around, as a ghost goes through an unloved land. Oh, the knife in the dark, the knife in the dark, was the hand of the one that he came to save. And the softest word that he ever heard was the sorrow that laid him in his grave. Oh, the knife in the dark. She asked him low of the one he'd lost, and he gave her more than he'd ever said, that she was the only one in the world who made the wide world fit like bread. And the child replied with her small grave mouth, perhaps she went, for the world did not fit her. And the cell's word had no answer then, for the night was old and the moon was bitter. Oh, the knife in the dark, the knife in the dark, was the hand of the one that he came to save. And the softest word that he ever heard was the sorrow that laid him in his grave. Oh, the knife in the dark. there were by the fires that burned, and the false maid bound to a wooden stake, and he cut her free with his borrowed blade, and she fell on him as a lover wake. Then her quiet hand drew the knife from his belt, and she slid the edge to the hilt and through, and she looked in his eyes and she whispered low, I am sorry, Kael, I am sorry, it is true. Oh, the knife in the dark, the knife in the dark, was the hand of the one that he came to save. And the softest word that he ever heard was the sorrow that laid him in his grave. Oh, the knife in the dark, and the blood ran warm on the forest floor, and the child's small hands took hold of his coat. Get up, she said to him, and the camp woke round them as a waking throat. Oh, the knife in the dark.